Today's video is featuring tips every backpacker should know about shaving weight from their gear. Rainy days can be quite the hassle when backpacking. You wouldn't want to feel compelled to come back home when you're already out there, would you? So, to make sure you have an awesome time without your gear literally weighing you down, watch this video to the end. The first tip is to weigh everything and record it. This gives a number to each item in your pack. Instead of just randomly throwing items in there, you know exactly how much weight each thing has. Then you can determine if item X is worth Y ounces. To add on to this, it's nice to always look at everything in ounces. There are some people who get down to the nitty-gritty even more and consider everything in grams. But moving away from pounds to smaller increments really helps you to go through that shaving weight process because ounces add up to pounds. Next tip is to not bring backups. The saying 2 is 1 and 1 is none is quite popular, but that's just not the best mindset to have when you're packing for a backpacking trip. The only things that you can bring doubles of are typically 1. A ladder, having your main ladder to cook with and start fires with, and a backup. This is mainly for survival purposes, but also so that you can have a warm meal at night in case you misplace your ladder. A ladder just doesn't weigh much at all. Additionally, it's recommended to have 2 forms of navigation. To start with, have an app on your phone for whatever trail you're doing, and then carry along typically your InReach Mini. But this could even be a map or whatever else works for you. Next, ditch the stuff sacks. It seems like every little piece of backpacking gear you buy, you end up getting some little cute sack that it comes in. If you actually put all of these things on the scale, you can see where it can be a quick way to shed some ounces. A lot of people have a stuff sack on their sleeping bag. They'll have their water filtration kit in some sort of stuff sack. Even battery banks come with a little padded stuff sack. So, what you can do for organization in your pack is keep all of your toiletries in a large Ziploc bag, and then all of your electronics in another large Ziploc bag. So, they're a little bit more durable, but they just tend to be more lightweight, especially just having those 2 Ziploc bags instead of having every little thing in some sort of stuff sack. The next tip is to limit your wardrobe, especially for beginners. It can seem a little odd to not have a fresh change of clothes for each day, but embracing the stink is part of the trail life, especially if you want your pack to be more comfortable to carry. So you really only need a dedicated outfit to hike in and one to sleep in. You could even argue that you don't need the one to sleep in if you have a properly rated sleeping bag for your comfort level, but it's preferable to have an outfit to sleep in. Also, always carry extra sets of socks. Have a pair to sleep in and 2 to hike in. That's just personal preference. It's up to you to accept that additional weight. It's a good idea to have a spare pair of underwear just in case you have an accident or you want to keep things fresh down there to not run into any funky problems. And yes, it's great to carry some sort of insulating layer even when it's warm outside, because you can get hypothermia even in warmer temperatures. But as far as actual outfits like changes of clothing, your basic top and bottom, you only really need 1 to hike in and maybe 1 to sleep in. Next is to repackage food and toiletries. Whether you're on a thru hike or out for a weekend trip, it's great to do this. This will save space and also weight in your pack. For a weekend trip, you can do the same thing at home. If you're going to be eating things like mountain house meals, you can empty those into Ziploc bags. Some people take just 1 of those Mylar packages and rehydrate their meal each night from the Ziploc bag just to help to save some space and weight. Then you just need to wash it out and reuse it again the next evening. For toiletries, it makes sense to put things in a smaller container. If you're going to be out for a short time, you don't need a whole huge tube of toothpaste. You can squirt a little bit into a smaller container, or even buy the travel-sized ones. Next, avoid Nalgene bottles. It seems like in everything you see about hiking and gear ads, you always see hikers with a cliché, heavy Nalgene plastic bottle. They are nice in the way that they are durable and reusable. It is great to have on the trail, but they're just heavier than they have to be. A lot of them weigh around 6 ounces. Perhaps carrying one with you is great if you are required to have something reusable, but it is still a lot heavier than something like a flexible bladder or even a disposable smart water bottle. Next is don't pack books. It's common for folks, when they are first starting out, feel like they're going to be bored on the trail. However, most people are so tired at the end of the night that it's a struggle to do anything other than maybe prepare some sort of food and then go right to sleep. Now, if you are somebody who finds that you do like to read on the trail, well, you can use a reader app, like the Kindle app for example, so that you are not having extra weight if you're going to already be carrying your phone. Even guidebooks. You can typically get some sort of app to take the place of the guidebooks, or get a PDF version that you can look at on your phone. In the worst case, take actual pictures of the book that you have at home with your phone, and then you can zoom in and look at the pictures. The next tip is to do a pack shakedown. Sometimes just having somebody sitting there and judging you on what you've decided to carry in your pack is enough to go, you know what, maybe I'm not thinking this through. Or it can really just offer a different perspective. And by all means, you may have those things that you're just not willing to part with. But again, explaining to somebody and trying to convince yourself as to why you really need this thing might help. You can ask yourself, well, what is this for? What are you going to use this for? Again, just having somebody have that conversation with you and having to be honest will help you to leave some things out of your pack. Kind of in the same vein, it's recommended to sort everything into piles of needs and wants. Everything in the need pile goes into the pack. The wants, you gotta sit there and really look at it and analyze it and think about it. When you see that massive stuff sitting out there, go on and weigh that whole pile of wants. Then think about it. Do you really want that stuff bad enough that you're willing to put all of that massive weight on your back? That should help you narrow down to really just a couple of luxury items. Finally, avoid packing your fears. This is something that you've probably heard before. You pack your fears. And it's so true. If you're afraid of being hungry, you're going to carry too much weight in food. If you're afraid of being cold or stinky, you're going to carry a lot of clothing or unnecessary personal items like deodorant and body wash, etc. So yes, you want to make sure you have enough of what you actually need. But sit down and kind of think within yourself. Is this stuff that I'm carrying just because I'm afraid of a certain situation? And if so, then do you actually really need it? One example is if you know that there is a reliable water source every 4 miles or so for whatever stretch of trail you're doing. You probably don't need to pack on 4 liters of water from one source to the next. Analyze the situation and figure out what you really need. This is something that gets better with time and experience. Alright, that's all we have for you today on tips for shaving weight off of your pack. But if you have any ideas that we didn't mention in this video, we are always happy to learn from those, so feel free to comment your ideas below. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you found this video useful, be sure to share it with a friend. Until next time, happy trails!